All right, giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahawah, sham Yahawashi, sham Rakakodash. With all thanks to our Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son, through the Holy Spirit. Thanking Him for another day, another breath of life, another opportunity to bring out a lesson. And this is going to be a continuation of the lesson. I might not even be an Israelite. So this is going to be part 2. I might not even be an Israelite. Because you can't tell who you are as an Israelite by a DNA test. You know, they're not going to be honest with you and tell you, yeah, you're the seed of Jacob, Abraham and Isaac. You understand? And we left off speaking about whether or not the Gentiles can be grafted in. And so we're going to pick up where we left off now, dealing with the writings of Paul. Because that's what trips up a lot of people when they start reading what Paul wrote regarding the Gentiles. Okay? Paul's writings are not for those who don't have a full understanding of the Old Testament. Okay? This is 2 Peter 3:16. This is what Peter said about Paul. He says, as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things which are hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest, as they do also other scriptures, unto their own destruction. So the writings of Paul are hard to be understood, and if you just jump into the New Testament and you don't have a full understanding of the Old Testament, then you're going to get tripped up. It says like what? There are some things which Paul wrote which are hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrestle with to their own destruction. Okay? This is Romans chapter 10 verse 12 now. And these are the words of Paul. He says, for there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same power over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon the name of Yahawah shall be saved. So he says there's no difference between the Jew and the Greek. And those folks in the evangelical Christian churches will run with this and say, see, there's no difference. Everyone can be saved. But how come he didn't say there's no difference between the Hamite and the Ishmaelite? How come he restricted it to the Jews and the Greeks? At this time, Israel was in the Greek captivity, you see. And so Paul was referring to those Jews who followed the laws, statutes, and commandments. And the Greeks he was referring to those Hellenized Jews. Okay? Which were referred to as Greeks because they spoke Greek and lived like Greeks. Let's get some of the writings of Paul again to counteract what that just said, or put it in its proper perspective. This is Romans 3, starting with verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision? Much every way. Chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High. You see? So what advantage does the Jew have? Much every way. Because unto the Jews were committed the oracles of the Most High. Those are the same writings of Paul in the same book of Romans. You see, so if it was truly that everyone is equal under the Most High, why would he say the Jews have such a great advantage? You see, that's what it means by precept upon precept, man. You have to put all the pieces of the puzzle together to understand what is really going on. Alright? Let's get Romans chapter 1:16. Some more writings from Paul. It says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of the anointed, for it is the power of the Almighty unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. So here again we see the Jews and the Greeks being juxtaposed against one another. So why didn't he say first to the Jew first and then to everyone else or all the other nations? Why is he restricting this to the Jews and the Greeks? Again, because the Greeks referred to here are the Jews or the Israelites living in a Gentile state of mind who were part of the captivity at that time, the Hellenized Jews. Okay? Because when you read in Maccabees in the Apocrypha, it tells you that they made it illegal to call yourself a Jew and to keep Sabbath days and all these other things. So a lot of our people, fearing persecution, stopped from calling themselves Jews and started adopting Greek customs and fashions. Alright? That's why it says to the Jew first and also to the Greek. Not because it was to the Israelites first and then everybody else. Romans 3:29. Because the title of this lesson is I Might Not Even Be an Israelite. Part 2. Romans 3:29 says, is he the power of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yeah, of the Gentiles also. Seeing it is one power, which shall justify the circumcision by faith, and uncircumcision through faith. Do we then make void the law through faith? The Most High forbid. Yeah, we establish the law. So again, he's speaking about the Jews now and the Gentiles. Okay? The circumcision and the uncircumcision. Circumcision refers to the law, statutes, and the commandments. Uncircumcision refers to the Jews who were not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. And we're going to get a bunch of prophecies later on that would totally have to be cancelled if indeed the so-called Gentiles, meaning in the definition of the Gentiles, meaning the heathen nations, can be saved. This is Galatians 2. I'm going to start with verse 14 now. Galatians chapter 2, verse 14. And these are the words of Paul. Again. But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all, if thou, being a Jew, livest after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews? We who are Jews by nature, and not sinners of the Gentiles, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahawashi the Anointed, even we have believed in Yahawashi the Anointed, that we might be justified by faith of Yahawashi, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. So there was a controversy at that time between the Jews who were keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments and the Jews who were not. And they classified themselves as circumcision, meaning the Jews that were keeping the commandments. Seems to be some flies, some pesky flies around here. And uncircumcision, meaning the Jews that were not keeping the commandments. And these Jews that were not keeping the commandments were Hellenized. They refer to themselves as Greeks, Gentiles in the flesh. Okay, living according to the flesh like the Gentiles. Alright? Let's get our 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. And all of these are the writings of Paul. And so when you put all of them together, you have to come up with the true understanding. Alright? This is 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse, maybe start from the first verse. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. Okay? So, the Jews, being Hellenized, also started worshiping false idols. And so Paul is referring to them and saying, ye were Gentiles. So the only way you could be a Gentile and then not be a Gentile anymore is if you have to understand that there's another meaning for the word Gentile other than just a member of another nation. Alright, because your bloodline doesn't change. So again, the term Gentile is being referred to or used to refer to Jews who are living like Gentiles. We get one more precept for that in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. Ephesians, the 2nd chapter, the 11th verse. It says, "Wherefore remember that ye, being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands." Let's just pause there for a minute. It says, "Remember that ye, being in time past Gentiles in the flesh," right? "Who were called uncircumcision by that which is called circumcision." So that proves again that the circumcision were the Jews that were keeping the laws, calling the Jews who were not keeping the laws Gentiles or uncircumcision. It goes on, "That at that time ye were without Yahawashi, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope, and without the Almighty in the world." So I think we read this already, but you know, it's just saying that in part 1 we read this. But it says that these Gentiles or the uncircumcision were strangers or aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. A commonwealth is a place. Alright, so the Israelites in that time who were living in Judea considered anyone who was living outside of Jerusalem a Gentile. Alright? Just by living outside of the camp, they called you a Gentile or uncircumcision. Never mind if you were living according to the Gentiles. Okay? It goes on. "But now in Yahawashi the Anointed, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Yahawashi." So those people who were Jews who were living far off and separated from the nation by those who were called circumcision, or the Jews who were keeping the commandments, right, are now made close again through the blood of Yahawashi. So it's not by works, which the Israelites were indeed believing at that time, but it's through faith. So Yahawashi came to bring all the house of Israel together. Alright? Both the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. Both Judah and Joseph. Or Ephraim. Okay? The title of this lesson is "I Might Not Even Be an Israelite." And now we want to go into the prophecies. We want to go into some prophecies that in order for other nations such as Edom, you know, Esau, Edom, Ishmael, Ham, Moab, Ammon, all these other nations, right? In order for them to receive salvation, then these prophecies would have to be done away with, that we're going to get into, and you're going to see. This is Isaiah 34:16. Isaiah, the 34th chapter, and the 16th verse. It says what? "Seek ye out of the book of Yahawah, and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it had commanded, and this spirit it had gathered them." So it means all these things that Yahawashi put in this book are gonna happen. Alright? None of them are gonna fail. All the prophecies are gonna come to pass. Okay? Let's get Isaiah 8 and 20 now. Isaiah 8 verse 20. It says, "To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them." So if anyone says the law is done away with and we don't have to keep the law, excluding the sacrificial law, which we don't have to keep because that was fulfilled by Yahawashi. But if anyone says we don't have to keep the law, they're speaking not according to the law. And it says, if they speak not according to the law, there's no light in them. Alright, then it goes on. If they speak not according to the testimony, there's no light in them either. So what's the testimony? Let's get that in Revelation. I think it's is it 19? Yes, Revelation chapter 19 verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahawashi. Worship the Almighty Yahawah, for the testimony of Yahawashi is the spirit of prophecy. So if they don't speak according to prophecy, then there's no light in them, like we just read in Isaiah 8 and 20. And what is his testimony? The testimony is the spirit of prophecy. So now we're going to read some prophecies that have to be fulfilled, or else you're making the Most High a liar, and you're saying that his word is, contradictory. And if you try to make the heathen nations receive salvation, then these prophecies would have to be done away with. Alright, this is Psalms 9 verse 16. It says, Yahawah is known by his judgment, which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higayon, Sila. Alright? If I remember correctly, Higayon is like when a whole orchestra makes a big crescendo. So, it says, Yahawah is known by his judgment, which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. And then just imagine a big crescendo when those words get uttered, man. That's how the Most High is known, by his judgment. Let's get Jeremiah 28 now. Jeremiah 28, the 8th verse, it says, maybe start from 27. It says, Nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in thine ears, and in the ears of all the people. The prophets that have been before me, and before thee of old, prophesied both against many countries, and against great kingdoms, of war, and of evil, and of pestilence. Goes on to say, the prophet which prophesieth of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then the prophet shall be known that Yahawah has truly sent him. But the prophets have always prophesied of the destruction of all these nations, man. Even before the time of Daniel, when Nebuchadnezzar had that dream and saw all the kingdoms or superpowers of the earth, they were all going to be destroyed. Just like we prophesying the destruction of the final kingdom, which is America. Mystery Babylon the Great. Okay? Those people who are wanting all nations to be saved, they're not prophesying the destruction of all these kingdoms, namely Esau, Edom. They're not prophesying the destruction of that group of people at all. Alright? Let's get Baruch 4:25 now. The book of Baruch 4, chapter 25. It says, My children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from the Almighty, for thine enemy hath persecuted thee. But shortly thou shalt see his destruction, and shalt tread upon his neck. So yeah, the children of Israel have suffered persecution from the time of Egypt. Building Egypt, building Babylon, building Medo-Persia, building Assyria, building Greece, building Rome, building America. The Israelites built all these superpowers. And now you want to make all those nations not have to pay for what they did to us. You're going against this book, man. Anytime you try to make those other heathen nations receive salvation, you don't understand this book. Period. Baruch 4:25 says what? My children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from the Most High. Yeah, we suffering patiently, man. These heathen nations are persecuting us day and night, and have been doing so. And they're getting ready to bring out an extermination on us, man. And except time be shortened, like you talk about in Matthew 24:22, no flesh would be saved. They would kill themselves in order to destroy us. That's the hatred that they have, that perpetual hatred, like you talk about in Ezekiel 35:5. All right? It says what? For thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly, and our enemies are written in Psalms 83. And our enemies are all the other nations of this world, all right? Even those so-called black Africans, okay? Who are not of the nation of Israel. It says, for thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction, and shall tread upon his neck. How are we going to tread upon the necks of our enemies, these heathen nations, if they're going to receive salvation and be elbow to elbow at the supper table of Yahawashi? Put it down in the comments so that make any sense. You see? That's a prophecy that hasn't happened yet. That has to happen because Yahawah Yahawashi said so. And if it does not happen, then the Most High will be a liar. You see? So in order to make all the heathen nations receive salvation, it shows that you don't even know what salvation is, which we're going to get to. Maybe we just get to that right now. In Luke 1. Shows that you don't even know what salvation is. And you don't have any understanding of this book. Luke 1:68. Blessed be Yahawah of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies, and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant, the oath which he sware to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us, that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear. All right, so salvation is the process of us being delivered from our enemies, not the process of us being delivered from our enemies and our enemies being delivered too. No. Proverbs 11:14, I think it is, says that the Most High hates an unjust balance. Let me just verify that is Proverbs 11. If not, Proverbs 11:1 rather. A false balance is abomination to Yahawah, but a just weight is his delight. So how would it look if the Most High put his chosen people, the apple of his eye, through all kind of hell and damnation for thousands of years, and the people who did that to them, he just let them off scot-free and let them come into the kingdom? What you think they're going to do in the kingdom? They're going to be laughing at us, man. That's what they're going to be doing, laughing at us. That don't make no sense. All right? So we just read what salvation is, right? The destruction of our enemies and salvation from them. And Baruch 4:25 said that we're going to be trodden on their necks. All right? So how is that going to happen when they're in the kingdom? As joint heirs with us. That don't make no sense. 2 Thessalonians 1:6. Let's get that. Because some of you soft cats in those Christianity churches, y'all don't understand judgment, man. Y'all don't understand this book. Y'all don't understand who you are or the Most High is. 2 Thessalonians 1:6. It says, seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So none of y'all fussing with the court system. When they put people behind bars and execute people for doing unjust things. None of y'all standing up to say, hey, don't do that. Forgive him and let him go free. But yet you want to come up against the truth for your slave master's sake. Like a stepping fetching Negro. There's such a thing called indignation or righteous anger. And it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. All right? And that's in the New Testament. Okay? Revelation 13, 9 and 10. I want you folks who disagree with these lessons to put down in the comments how Revelation 13, 9 and 10, which is a prophecy that must come to pass, how this prophecy can come to pass if everybody is going to be all up, you know, at the supper table with Yahawah, Yahawashi. Revelation 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So what are the saints? First of all, who are the saints? Psalm 148:14 tell you that the saints are the Israelites. All right. What are the saints patiently waiting on? The destruction of our enemies. For he that leadeth into captivity, namely all these other nations, starting with Esau, Edom, for them to go into captivity. That's what the saints are patiently waiting on. And if you ain't waiting on that, then I guess you're not a saint, huh? Let's get Joel chapter 3. Another prophecy that has to be disannulled, totally destroyed and wiped out of this book if y'all are going to try to save the heathen nations. All right? And we just getting a fraction of the prophecies, you know, to show you that that doctrine of, what's that doctrine? What do they call that again? Spiritual Israel. That doctrine is rubbish and garbage. All right? Joel chapter 3. Let's get that. Joel chapter 3. You can read the whole verse on your own. I mean the whole chapter on your own, but I'm going to skip around in it, all right? It says, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So the Most High is going to gather all the nations that took part in our destruction, which is all the nations, not only the so-called white man, but the so-called Indian man, the so-called Arab man, the African man, the so-called Chinese man, the Japanese man, all of them. He's going to gather them there to plead with them for his people. Let me see where I can skip down to now. The children, in verse 6, the children also of Judah and of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. The Grecians are the so-called white people. Although we know that among the so-called white people there are Israelites, you know, because this is not a skin color thing. You know, throughout the scattering due to Deuteronomy 28:64 and Luke 21:24, we mix with the other nations. Alright? That's why it says in Jeremiah 12 and 9 that Israel, or the Most High's heritage, is as a speckled bird. So you're going to have Israelites looking like all the other nations. And we've went into that many times before. Alright? But it says what? That we were sold unto the Greeks so that they could ship us all over the world, man. Verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own heads. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off. For Yahawah hath spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Okay, so if the Israelites are going to sell the sons and the daughters of these other nations as slaves, right? How are they going to be up in the kingdom, you know, and receive eternal life? Put it down in the comments, man. How those two things can be happening. The only way that those two things can happen in the future is if the Most High is a liar. Alright? Let's see what else we want to get from Joel chapter 3. Verse 17. So shall ye know that I am Yahawah your power, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. You see, so a lot of strangers passing through Jerusalem right now, man. That's the homo capital of the planet. You know, that's the most gay-friendly site on the earth, man. Those people over there in Jerusalem today, they live according to every abominable thing, man. And that's enough that I can say about that. You see what else I want from Joel chapter 3. It says in verse 19, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in the land. But Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for Yahawah dwelleth in Zion. You see, so the Most High is going to save the nation of Israel and cleanse our blood and put these other nations in subjection. Alright? You could read the whole chapter of Joel chapter 3 on your own. Okay? Let's see what else we want to get here now. Let's get Galatians 6 and 2. The title of this lesson is I might not even be an Israelite. You understand? But I don't have nothing else better to do than to bring out this glorious gospel. Alright? In hopes that I'm not only an Israelite, but part of the elect. Because only the elect are going to make it out of here, man. Everyone else is going to be cut off and die, like we talk about in Zechariah the 13th chapter. Okay, but this is Galatians 6 and 7. It says, Be not deceived. The Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Okay? So these nations, what have they sown? They've sown lies. They've sown deceit. They've sown destruction. They've sown every abominable thing on this planet, man. And that's what they're going to reap. Destruction. Okay? The Most High is only going to have mercy on the people who he had a covenant with to begin with. And they didn't deserve it either, but it's because of his mercy. And because of the oath he made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why we even have a chance at salvation. You understand? Let's get Isaiah chapter 60 now. And we just grabbing some prophecies that in order to have your heathen nations receive salvation, you're going to have to say that these prophecies are not going to happen. And if you say that they happened already, then you have to prove it, man. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says to prove all things. Okay? This is Isaiah chapter 60. And you should read that whole chapter on your own to get the context. Okay? I'm going to read from verse 10 to 22. It says, and the sons of, and this is just, you know, like I said, you can read the whole chapter. But this is verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. So these strangers that are outside the camp, or outside the gates of the New Jerusalem, you know, they're going to be our servants and handmaids, man, like you talk about in Isaiah 14. Alright? And they're going to build up our walls, man. Didn't we build up their walls? Didn't we slave for them? Thousands of years? All the nations built up every superpower, starting with Egypt down to America. And where is our reward for that? Where is our recompense? Is the Most High a just power, or is he not? Reading on. For the verse 12. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yeah, those nations shall be utterly wasted. But they're going to serve. Oh yeah, they're going to be glad to serve. They're going to be slaves in the kingdom, and they're going to be happy. All right? That's a lesson in and of itself. Yahawah willing, we bring that out. Verse 14. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of Yahawah, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. So that's in the future, man. There's no city of Zion with the Holy One of Israel dwelling in it right now. That's the kingdom of heaven, man. That's in the future. It says, whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. So right now we are forsaken and hated. Now we are hated by our own women. You understand? We are hated by our own men. Never mind all the other nations. They hate us, man. But it says that we are going to be an eternal excellency. That hasn't happened yet, brothers and sisters. Verse 16. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and suck the breast of kings. And thou shalt know that I, Yahawah, am thy Savior, and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. When it says we're going to suck the milk of Gentiles and the breast of kings, that means all these nations are going to be providing us the best that they could produce. You understand? It says, for brass will I bring gold, and for iron will I bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine extractors righteousness. Violence shall be no more heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. So look at the nation of, look at the land of Israel today. Is that place a violent place? That place is just violence upon violence. Those people are so accustomed to hearing the siren, call to let them know that rockets are incoming, that they are accustomed to that now, man. But it says that violence shall be no more in the land at that time. Come and hear the truth, brother. It says violence shall be no more in the land. It says the sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But Yahawah shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and the Most High thy glory. The sun shall be no more, the sun shall no more go down. Neither shall the moon withdraw itself, for Yahawashi shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. So if you say that this happened already, where are those people who are all righteous, man? Put it down in the comments, man. You see? It says, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahawah, will hasten it in his time. So we're just going through these prophecies, a fraction of the prophecies, because we don't have time to put all of them in a lesson. That's going to be a long, long lesson. But these prophecies are prophecies that you would have to do away with in order to continue your fake, false doctrine that all nations can be saved. Okay? Just going to get Isaiah 14 now. Because the title of this lesson is, I might not even be an Israelite. But even if I'm not an Israelite, I still rather be a servant to the Israelites. Just as I am right now. Bringing out these lessons, man. For the sake of the sheep. For the edifying of the body of Yahawashi Yahawashi. You understand? Isaiah 14 verse 1. For Yahawah will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahawah for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. Verse 5. For Yahawah hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that rules the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. That means the other nations who were ruling are going to be put out, man. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth in singing. It goes on and say even the trees are going to rejoice in those times, man. Even the trees are going to rejoice in that time. Let's get verse 12 to 16 now. Matter of fact, you can read that on your own, alright? But those are just some of the prophecies that you would have to get rid of if you want to insist that the heathen nations can receive salvation. And just keep in mind, Revelation 22, 18 and 19 says, whoever adds anything or takes anything away out of this book is going to be utterly wasted. So this is not a joke. Whatever doctrine you follow is going to be either life or death for you. Alright? You have to receive the love of the truth, man. Pray for truth, like we brought out in that lesson. Pray for the truth. To receive it, and to find it, and to accept it. Because if you don't have the love of the truth, you're going to be given the love of the lies and receive a delusion. So the Most High could just destroy you. Okay? Alright, so this is Psalms 150 and 6. And again, this is an appeal to everyone who's listening to this lesson, regardless of what nationality you might be. Alright? It says, let everything that hath breath praise Yahawah. Praise ye Yahawah. Okay? I feel like I'm missing something here. I didn't write these ones down, but let me just go to Titus, the 3rd chapter. Titus, the 3rd chapter. Some annoying flies are trying to bite me right now. Because some folks are saying, I think there was one woman on my comment board trying to tell me that you could just do a DNA test to find out who you are and blah 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 blah. That's a lie. You can't do no DNA test to find out nothing, man. You think they're gonna tell you the truth when you go to them with your little DNA test? No, they won't. And besides, taking a DNA test to figure out who you are is sin. Alright, let's get that in Titus chapter 3. Titus chapter 3, verse 9. It says, is that what I want? Titus chapter 3. Yes, it says, but avoid foolish questions and genealogies and contentions and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and vain. For they are unprofitable and vain. So Titus 3 and 9 says to avoid genealogies. What's a genealogy? Trying to figure out your ancestry. And we know that Deuteronomy 28:45 tells us that the curses will be put upon the children of Israel for a sign and a wonder. Okay, so if your people are the ancestors of the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade, are scattered all abroad, then chances are you are an Israelite. But that don't mean just because you were mingled among these slaves, former slaves, present day slaves, mean that you're an Israelite. You know, that's why I talk about in Matthew 13:24 that the Most High is going to separate the wheat from the tares on Judgment Day. Okay? So no one can know for certain that they are an Israelite. Just like I might not be an Israelite. Okay? We believe by faith that we are those people. I guess I just close off now with Romans 8 and 16. This whole thing is based on faith. Alright? Hebrews 11 and 6 says, without faith it is impossible to please him. Romans 8:16. It says, the Spirit itself, meaning the Holy Spirit, beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahawah, sham, Yahawashi. So Yahawah, why Yahawashi willing? This has been an edifying lesson, relevant unto salvation for the hopeful elect, giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahawah, sham, Yahawashi, sham, Rakakodash. And with that we say Shalom.